I ask you a question about your sukkah, though?
Yeah.
So you have the 8x12.
Here we are, and welcome to episode number 49 of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. I have been asked to start numbering the episodes, so forever going forward during the buttery intro, you will get the numbers. How did that work, Lil? I know you were the one who requested the numbers.
Well, I read that people appreciate knowing which episode they're on in case they just put it on in the car or something, and they want to keep track of where they're at.
I'll say this, having accidentally misnumbered our episodes multiple times when I've uploaded them, I appreciate it. So this is at least going to work for me. So as usual, I am joined by my amazing sisters. It's just the three of us today. Not just the three of us. It's the three of us today. It makes and Lily's calling in from the Canary Islands. You just got back. How are you doing?
I'm good. I saw some friends today, and they had spent a month in the Spain, but the continent, so not on the islands. But it's still Spain, and they were like, "Whoa, it's such a culture shock coming back home." And I was like, "Culture shock? You want to hear culture shock?" I was in a Whole Foods for a month. I was like, "I have no idea what it's like to come back here." And he was being the rhythm of life is just so different here. And when you come back from there, it's so stressful. I'm like, it's still Spain, dude. I'm like,
yeah, I gotta say,
United States, that is a culture shock.
Money Heist, which is a recurring theme lately, even their money heists are really slow and take many episodes to have it.
There's a lot of boobies.
Yes, and there's scantily clad people.
I need Becky to finish the show because we really have to break that one down.
I'm only 2 episodes in. The problem is that
It'll take you 6 months. It's so long.
It's taking me so long to finish it. I always want to go watch it, but then oftentimes when I actually have time to watch TV, I'm also eating dinner, and I can't eat and read subtitles at the same time.
Oh, no,
it's very hard.
It happens with Closer too.
I often snack while I'm watching that show. And between Allie and me, we just alternately tell each other what's happening. You say, what just happened?
Also, the subtitles come and go from the screen very quickly. I am not
You're not used to watching with subtitles. That's
not fast enough.
So, Becky, you are in California. You recently returned home from our multiple weeks of all of us being together. How are you doing?
I'm going to tell you today, I am living my best life.
Really?
I have had a fabulous morning. Yeah. Yeah,
my first thought is, what did you eat?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because you seem like you're in a great mood.
So I'm in a great mood because, post baby, I've been on this kick lately. I want to eat healthier and take good care of myself. And I woke up this morning, I said, F it. I'm going to eat a croissant the size of my face. And that's what I did.
Let's be clear.
Freshly, yeah.
Everyone in our family calls it a croissant.
Yeah, because that's how it's pronounced.
Not a croissant. I never heard that word out of Montreal.
Yeah.
For years.
So, freshly baked chocolate croissant from this, just appeared in our neighborhood.
I have what you're saying, Shai. It sounds pretentious, but that's just how we know how to pronounce it.
That's just how we know how to pronounce it.
Exactly. It's like Mom's in Colombia.
I say it the other way.
Mom's saying Colombia, but it's not that. It's that we didn't learn it a different way.
It's just how I know how to say it. With the chocolate is still warm and gooey. Oh,
I have questions. I have questions about this.
Yes.
Croissant.
Was it flaky? Was the outside flaky?
Flaky. You took a bite and it was flaking all over the place.
It sprays everywhere.
Was it like a circular pain au chocolat croissant?
Pain au chocolat. Okay. It was a proper. It
was not a traditional croissant with chocolate embedded in or on top.
No. This is a pain au chocolat.
Oh.
Yeah,
even
proper
my kids
one.
know that's my favorite pastry.
Crispy, super buttery, freshly baked out of the oven, so the chocolate is actually still melted. It hasn't done that solidified log,
Oh, yeah. I actually like the solidified log, but that's because I like...
When it's freshly baked, very special.
But
Was
that
it a Nutella chocolate? Was it
No.
Nutella?
It was a dark chocolate. It was like
a real
proper
chocolate.
Real chocolate.
Well,
like real high-end chocolate.
That's all I would need to be living my best life.
Yep. So I had one of those, and then I went to Momo LeBeau's body work class, which is a hip-hop dance class. I'm not the best person in the class.
You're not?
I'm not,
No.
which is shocking because I have some moves.
Because we've seen you do the Macarena.
Do you
do you
have the Macarena face on?
Oh, I try to
hope
keep
you're
it light
serious.
because you're looking at yourself in the mirror and then you're like, oh, I'm being very serious for this dance. So, and then I did body work, and I realized about halfway through that I maybe should have had a more nutritious breakfast because I got a little lightheaded, but I was also dancing a lot. And now I'm here podcasting, so it's a pretty amazing day so far. Feeling good.
Super. So speaking of amazing day, as I mentioned, this is episode 49, which means we are counting down to our podcast anniversary. And we're really excited, and we are really grateful for everybody who is listening. And we are brainstorming ideas, which we will not do on the air, of things we can do for all of the amazing supporters we have had all year. So if you have an idea of something you'd really like us to do to celebrate the podcast anniversary, please let us know. Also, this is a really great time for, if you haven't left a review yet on iTunes or somewhere else, leave a review. Hopefully it's a good one, as Lily always says. Take a screenshot of it. Send it to us. So thank you again to everybody who has been listening all year. If there's something you'd like us to do for the podcast anniversary episode, let us know, and please do leave us reviews. Take a screenshot, share it with us. We'll do something fun to thank you. What that thing is, TBD. It might be maybe specific to the person. It might be something we decide to do for everybody, but we'd really appreciate it.
And we're not revealing what that surprise will be because we don't want to make promises we can't keep.
Exactly. And speaking of folks who have been great supporters, not just of the podcast, but in our life, a few listeners and friends, some we've known before, some we met through this fun adventure we've been on the internet, have started chats with us, whether they're on Twitter or whether on WhatsApp or Facebook. And we have one with our dear friend Howie, my musical life partner and co-member of the band What Does It Eat. And Howie listens to the episodes, and he sends us really, I think, thoughtful and very funny sort of hypothetical questions or idea pitches for TV shows, and there's been a backlog of them, and so I'm just going to read off a couple of those before we get into our next segment. And among them, he asked, we were talking about Money Heist, he says, what if there was like an animated animal version called Monkey Heist?
That's very
And then
hilarious.
After our Copland bit from last week when we talked about Stallone, he said, what if there was a show called Coplander about a traveling nurse, time-traveling nurse, with Sylvester Stallone? And I'll just say old, rotund Sylvester Stallone. To me, that works. And then he also asked,
I'd watch that show.
He said, he also says that Mom looks like Inspector Murillo from Money Heist, and he sent us a picture.
She does,
She
because
does not look like her, I'll tell you that. There's some similarities.
I mean,
If Mom had a nose ring, maybe. And then Howie asks, he had a new idea for a new Sons of Anarchy spinoff, an animated spinoff, and it would be called, like a prequel called Jackson Claymation. And then finally he asks,
the guy isn't busy. Like, he's gone a very busy life.
Who?
So
Howie.
No,
but this is over months of him. I went through the chat. There were so many good bits. And then last but not least, he asks, this is not from like 1 week. This is from months of him sending us stuff. He says, if Mr. Miyagi meets Daniel's kid, does he call the kid Daniel-san's son?
That's a great bit. That's true.
And we're talking about that younger kid, Anthony LaRusso, I would say.
Yeah, Anthony LaRusso. Right?
Well, he'd call him a lot of things, because that kid is lazy AF.
Cannot wait to see Anthony LaRusso season 2.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see that spin-off. Okay, so again, this is a catch-up episode. We're going to talk about a ton of movies and programs on this Friday Night Movie Podcast episode, but we have a new segment that I invented this week because of a conversation I had with a couple of people, and we're going to call this Pancake for the Table's Health Corner. And as you all have made fun of my eating, which should be made fun of because I would classify myself as a champion junk food eater. In my efforts to be healthier in the last couple of years, which have been successful, I have developed intense knowledge of some of the low-cal or hacks to get at desserts that maybe would normally be very filling and bad for you. And so I just wanted to do a little bit riff on I'm not going to talk about all of them because that could be a whole episode, but in Pancake's Health Corner this week, Yasos. Has anyone had the Yaso bars? Those were a big part of our vacation.
I have a feeling after this spiel, Yaso should be sponsoring our podcast. But go ahead.
I feel like this podcast should be sponsored by Diet Root Beer.
They definitely lose money with how many you buy in one time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm impressed that they don't go broke.
So, yeah, Diet Root Beer, Yasos, and all of the other low-cal ice creams should just sponsor me as a human. Because I run on them. And so, just so people know, if you are looking at the Yaso brand, which is the frozen yogurt yolk low-cal ice cream pop is the best way to describe it. My rankings are pretty simple. If you like peanut butter and chocolate chip, the only best choice you have is the chocolate ice cream peanut butter chip. That is the highest ranked as far as I'm concerned. Then, controversial in this family, if you're just going for the regular 100-calorie variety, I recommend the mint 100-calorie Yaso. If you're more into chocolate, then the fudge brownie. So those three, if you're doing Yaso, those are your top choices. The salted caramel wears thin after a little while. The strawberry is all right, but at a certain point, it just feels like you're always eating second place.
I don't like those that much. I loved that Weight Watchers one, though, that you introduced us to.
All right, we'll get
I could eat a box
that one was
of
like
those,
a tiny little Snickers.
It's too sweet,
Yasos to
though.
me are
It's too
too
sweet.
creamy. I don't like
Yeah.
No, I
ice
like the
cream.
Yasos. They're just kind of a little too sour. Like, they add in a little extra sour to be like, hey, it's yogurt. You know?
Well, anyways, yeah.
And don't forget
if I don't taste amazing, then I'm probably good for you.
So the health corner is over, and we'll come back to the segment. in the
It
future.
was so fascinating.
So the health corner is going to be Shy's favorite diet food of the week.
It could be. It could be also have like some cool hacks, like how to make your own homemade low-cal version of the Taco Bell breakfast taco.
Oh my goodness!
Please go on.
I
definitely want to hear that.
Use a waffle. Anyways, so
I feel like at some point we should have Janine G Wellness on to consult.
Oh no, I'm sure anyone who's actually for wellness would say everything I do is horrific.
Well, hey, you got to do what works, man.
Yeah, and if it's working, that's okay.
It is working. So now let's talk about pop culture and movies. And we just have a potpourri grab bag of stuff to talk about this week.
Yeah,
all
I
of
have
it
a
really
few
fun.
surprises that I did not put on our notes.
Okay, so who would like to go first?
Like what we're watching?
Well, I mean, what we're watching, what we've been watching. I know I've tipped you guys off to some of the things I want to talk about this week.
I went earlier in the week. I went with a bunch of my work colleagues to see a new documentary that's not out quite yet. So we got to do a special early screening with the director who came in, and it's a serious film. It's a heavy film. I know no one likes homework, but I will say that from the first opening shot of this movie, I was hooked. Like I even though I work in documentaries, I often have a hard time like sitting down and watching heavy films at the end of the day or on the weekend because it's depressing. But where this one was particularly special is that I'm not kidding. Opening shot of the film, it was like my brain latched on and I was like, I need to know what's going to happen. It's called Survivors, and it is made by an actual Sierra Leonean filmmaker. His name is Arthur Pratt, and he was filming throughout the 2014 Ebola outbreak in Sierra Leone, following it on the ground. And there's like a couple of different cinematographers that were filming and following different people who are the healthcare workers, and it's so insane. It's so intense and so insane. So although I knew that this was happening and I was following the story in the news, I had a lot of distance between the cycle of what's going on with the Ebola outbreak and how they're getting it under control, and then the actual reality of what it meant to be on the ground. And
so what you're saying is that me following up that with my I Feel Pretty breakdown, it makes me look like a dummy. So
pretty much, I wanted to start off the conversation going, I'm the smartest.
Okay.
Well, so, you win. Yeah.
So Becky,
and I'm not sure that counts as pop culture.
But it's not pop culture, but it was an interesting thing. No, I'm saying it was a great movie, and it's going to be on PBS. So it's on September 24th. So I will say, it was. You know how I feel like it relates to pop culture, because you felt like you were watching a thriller.
Ooh.
And it wasn't, and that's what was cool about it. Like when it felt like you were literally watching a movie like that, but it was real. And so when I say, like, from the first frame of from the first opening shot, I was hooked, it's because it plays out like you're watching a thriller, and it's super intense in that way. Like, yeah, it's emotional and it's scary, and this is a real life thing, but it's so intense when you're watching it. It's like I felt like I was almost watching a fiction film. And the people who are in this movie, they're like, to me, they're movie star quality characters, subjects to be following. So it does have a pop culture related thread.
That's cool.
Survivors?
That's very cool.
It's called Survivors, yeah.
That's very cool.
And super cool movie.
Looking forward to seeing it. All right, Lil, there's some things you and I watched a bunch of stuff together, so I'll pick those up, but you said you saw I Feel Pretty?
But I just, very quick on the plane, I was like, okay, if there was ever a plane movie, then I Feel Pretty, the Amy Schumer one, is like, that's like perfect for a plane, right? You don't have to pay for it, it's kind of silly. I should have just watched Love, Simon again, because the whole time I was thinking, on my ride over to the States, I watched Love, Simon, and I was enthralled. And then on the way back, I watched I Feel Pretty, and I was literally like, I think I'm stupider. And
really?
I was really disappointed. I think they had like an extra pooey taste in my mouth because I was disappointed. Yeah.
I want to put that in quotes and frame that.
That's a t-shirt.
An extra pooey taste in my mouth. That is a t-shirt.
Because Trainwreck, I think the movie's too long. I think in general, that's a great movie. And she did a good, and Snatched is Oscar winning. Snatched
is hilarious.
With you make one whale come joke and I am done. And that movie's silly but hilarious when you watch it with your family. I don't think if I watched this with anybody, it would have improved it. That improvement factor.
Yeah, the thing we talked about a few weeks ago.
Right, those movies are 100% good and improved. I watched The Book Club with Mom. Oh my god! She's like, this movie's amazing. I'm like, because I'm watching it with you. Duh. Because the movie is not good, but if you watch something like The Book Club with your mom, and your mom is as funny as Mom, a hilarious movie. This could not have been improved by the company I was in.
But all you're saying is that you didn't like it, and can we get a little explanation? I need a few bullet points here to know what was so bad.
It's not well written. The jokes fall flat. The actors are bleh. The love interest is the only guy that I was like, okay, he brought it, and he was a cool actor and a cool character, kind of. Although they, not funnily, make fun of the fact that he's a bit, feminine, which he's not really even feminine, but he keeps coming back, and I'm like, wait, is that supposed to be a thing? That he's not manly, and he does Zumba? Why?
Hey,
I'm sorry.
I've done Zumba.
Exactly. No, but is this the reverse of Me Too? Now we have to just make fun of this guy for doing Zumba? I'm like, I don't get it. He's working out. Who gives a shit? I don't know. I found the jokes fell flat. It doesn't make sense to me. This whole empowering woman thing, it misses the mark. Yes, is it body? I'm not even sure the movie's body positive. But at the end of them, I'm and they had Lady Bryant and Busy Phillips, who I call Buzzy Phillips, in the movie. I don't really understand why. Both I think are beautiful, funny women. They were token, the ugly friends. I don't get it. I just didn't understand the movie. And I was annoyed because I'm like, this could have been so much better. And she's better than that. And I feel like she missed the mark. And I read a hilarious article, and I don't remember who the actress was. It's maybe Jessica Chastain or something, who sat in a theater and watched it with her friends and trashed it the entire time. And somebody behind her live tweeted her real reactions.
Oh my god!
I have to find out. Send you guys the article.
That's amazing.
And you can.
Well, I sure hope you're right about who. I sure hope you're right about who it is.
I apologize to Jessica Chastain if it's probably not her, but it's like a young, very good actress who went and saw it with her girlfriends and just shit on the movie the whole time. And when I read that, I was like, oh, come on. She's just hoity-toity. No, I'm like, dude, this movie could have been better, and I actually don't recommend it. So I'm not even like, watch it and let me know what you think. Pass. Hard pass.
Hey.
Okay. Well, and it's funny because I feel...
you guys to watch it, let me know what you think. Allie, I'm sure, will love it, because I don't understand her rules of liking.
I think it was Greta Gerwig.
Greta Gerwig, that's it, because she had just recently directed Lady Bird.
Oh, right, and that's why people are like, oh, she's so obnoxious, but she's so pretentious. She's not. Greta Gerwig is real. She's legit.
She's real, and all you guys don't have to watch I Feel Pretty. Just find that article, or I'll tweet it out, or Beck tweet it out, and that's the sum of that movie.
Wow.
So yeah. Also, the book club. Watch it with your mom if she's as funny as ours. That I can recommend.
I could make up the preview for the book club, like, without even knowing what the movie is going to be out, and I bet I could guess a chunk of the cast.
There's like a few old lady vagina jokes that just got me. Like, I was...
this is the one where they all read...
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey,
So they just made a movie about, like, everyone's real life 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Right, except the fact that they're older, and the movie did have some really interesting things because it has like sex for women, like not in their 50s, but like close to 70.
So like Grace and Frankie humor.
But no, because these women are it's not exactly great. Jane Fonda plays a very different character, so it didn't remind me.
I didn't even know Jane Fonda was in this, but I'm like, oh, old lady sex jokes, Jane Fonda.
It's old lady sex jokes, but it's also stuff like real, like what happens in a marriage that where the man is also older, and what happens with like Candice Bergen's character hasn't had sex in 18 years, and like what so just like there's a lot of angles that mom was like, okay, this is interesting, and maybe as a preview for the future. I don't know. It was interesting.
Anyway,
watch it with your mom. Otherwise, don't watch it.
That's funny. That's a good like a Mother's Day brunch movie.
Sure.
I'll eventually see that movie with Allie for sure. I feel like that's a rent.
I hope you get to watch
with
it
your mom,
with Barbara and Meredith as well.
I'm not going to watch outside of people that are in my like nuclear or blood related family. That's just
there's a lot of old penis and old vagina jokes.
Oh boy. All right. Okay, so a cool thing that's been happening, Amazon.Prime, I sometimes get annoyed when the streaming services...
Amazon.Prime.
Amazon.Prime, like Lily's Twitter.com address. Amazon Prime. I get annoyed when the streaming services change over their movies, because I'm like, it should just be there all the time, so that's what but I get it. They have to change it over. They got to keep
They can't keep everything on their servers all the time. I get that.
And it costs money, right? That's rights associated with it. But this month in particular, or maybe it's been longer than this month, but I had noticed that Amazon had a few 80s movies that I really never had gotten around to seeing that I always wanted to see.
Wait, do you fall into the trap of it's going to be taken off soon? Like they give you a list of movies, they only have a few weeks left, and then you go and watch them?
No. I was looking through the queue. Oh, what do they have on Amazon? And I noticed there were these 80s movies that I had always seen the VHSs, and I'd heard other people talk about, but for a variety of reasons I didn't see. And so this week, Lily and I watched Monster Squad, and then I finished watching, we started it, but I finished watching Gleaming the Cube, which stars a young and very good Christian Slater. He's super in that movie. Anyways, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Monster Squad. There are a lot of big fans of this movie. I think that when you watch this movie, you realize, oh, someone tried to make another Goonies, which it has a tons of things that are Goonies-esque, but also when you see Stranger Things, when you refer it back to Stranger Things, you think, oh, Stranger Things, yes, is obviously taken from Goonies, but Monster Squad has to be a big influence on Stranger Things as well. The premise of the movie is that Dracula and other monsters, including the Wolfman...
but also dressed as Dracula, which you could like get from a costume shop.
Yeah. They're in the classic 1930s era look, all of these characters. This movie was made in the late 80s, I think, and... probably 87 or 88.
I think it's 80. Yeah,
I think it's 87. So the premise is that Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein, the Mummy, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon are all quote-unquote monsters that Dracula is trying to... This could be a cool movie. And I think it was cool in its day for sure. Seeing it again was a little bit odd. And
there's too many celebrity monsters in it, though.
There's a lot of celebrity monsters.
Celebrity monsters, like celebrities playing monsters, or celebrity monsters.
No, celebrity. They
monsters,
look
like the werewolf, the wolfman, the
got it.
mummy. Yeah.
And so
Totally
Dracula
understand.
is trying to get some sort of magic amulet that will allow monsters and the darkness to take over Earth. Anyways, he gets trapped in an amulet or something 100 years later on this one day that he can do
None
this
of that
again.
matters.
He
All
comes
that matters
back.
is that these kids say some dirty ass things that today you could never have kids. First of all, one kid is just called the fat kid.
Yeah.
That's his name. Which is a copy of Chunk from Goonies, but also you can't just call somebody the fat kid in a movie.
And to be clear, when we say he's called the fat kid, although later in the movie he reveals his name is Horace or something like that, on the subtitles, so we watched it because the kids were napping, and so we had the subtitles on. And the subtitles said like "fat kid :
That's how he's
for
billed,
his word
yeah.
for his words. So, anyways, these kids have to stop the monsters. There's a old Van Helsing notebook involved. Frankenstein turns out to be a nice monster, and they reenact that famous scene from Frankenstein where Frankenstein in the original movie kills a little kid by accident, but instead he befriends the little girl, and then he becomes their like pet monster and helps them fight the other monsters.
So it's monsters fighting each other?
Well, it's like monsters
A
and
little
kids.
bit.
It's like one pet monster and a bunch of bad monsters.
You're still missing the point. They have a 5-year-old say dipshit in the movie.
Yeah,
Like-
but that was for sure an 80s thing.
Yeah, that's
That
very
was
80s.
Like, I was so
It was
impressed with
funny.
the mouse on these kids.
No, but I feel like in the 80s, like a funny gag would be to get little kids to say bad words.
And old people. Let's not forget old people.
Old people and little kids saying
But why
bad
is that
words.
still not funny?
No, it's
that
still
is-
serious. We just
we just-
don't do it anymore.
It's not appropriate. We can't do
We
it.
should. I feel like that's fine.
Old people, you see old people.
Like, I want to see a 5-year-old go, son of a bitch. That's what I want out of a movie.
It's hilarious.
So if you want that, just keep rewatching to the end of time Role Models with Paul Rudd and Sean William Scott.
Exactly.
Truth.
100%.
Underrated movie. Underrated.
So what I'll say is that at the beginning of this movie, I was profoundly uncomfortable because there is some humor and some slurring in this movie that I'm not going to repeat whatsoever. That is just
homophobic.
It's homophobic and straight up. I mean, not only is it dated, it's homophobic, and I don't even think it works for that time either. Meaning, it's not okay, and so that really kind of put me off at the beginning of the movie. That stuff dispenses from the movie, and then it goes along. Kind of like it's kind of like the Disney musical review that you see at the theme park or Universal, where like all the monsters come out and sing the Monster Mash. That's essentially what the rest of the movie is like, and I think essentially they gave me something that I would like to see remade. That's the bottom line. I'd like to see
you would
this.
like to see this remade?
Yeah, because I think the idea of kids fighting the classic monsters, like if Adam F. Goldberg, and I think he's even tweeted about potentially doing something like this, like if Adam F. Goldberg got his hands on this IP, he would make it hilarious and also
But
fun
I
and
want to
scary.
see it like redone, not a remake, just like redone. Take the very initial seedling,
Like the premise,
the
and
premise,
write an
and nothing
entirely new
else.
script.
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
just has the same. Yeah,
Exactly. And,
just
and
the same premise, and that's it.
and-
Yeah,
might have the same type.
because it's super dumb.
yeah.
Lily,
and then there's
ironically-
with him.
there's a
Yes,
subplot
it's
also
45
about
minutes.
there's a
Movie's 45 minutes.
there's
Guys.
yeah. But
so short.
it's so short. I mean,
That's the other thing about Survivors. It's 84 minutes.
oh yeah,
It's
this
exactly how much time
Proper
I
length of a
spend
film.
watching.
this movie's was
How long I want to spend watching a documentary? 84 minutes,
so
and I make them.
Monster Squad gets points for 82 minutes, and there are things that don't make sense, and you're just like, yeah, but we don't really need to find out why that happened. And I'll just say that there's a Holocaust subplot also in the movie because
It's yeah.
that is really weird.
Yeah.
You are losing me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's. Anyways. So the other movie I saw, and I just finished watching, which I
But
actually.
I have a question. I also saw another movie. So are you going to finish your round, or can we like bounce back and forth between movies?
Well, these
Or
gotta
you
go
want-
together because they're both 80s movies. I'm gonna go quick with this one.
Okay, and then maybe Lily will do one, and then I'll do another one.
So then I watched Gleaming the Cube, which is a skateboarding. Think of
and
it like
a terrible name for a movie.
The
If you want to
text
know what,
exchange between us about that. was
like, if you want to know what not to name your movie, it's that.
it's. Anyways,
when Shai texted, I want to talk about Gleaming the Cube, I thought it was some sort of expression, and I didn't know what it was.
Like
it is an expression
that he read about.
No, but
let's talk about this new thing.
I thought it had to do with some sort of new streaming service. Like you gleam the cube to see, bootleg movies or something.
No. Gleaming the Cube is essentially BMX bandits with skateboarding. Starring
BMX Bandits. That is a proper title for a film.
Actually, my kids have asked me many times. They're like, I don't get it. They're like,
What's a bandit?
No, they're like, why are the kids on the BMX bikes the bandits? I'm like, no, they're chasing the bandits. They're like, why is it called BMX Bandits?
Well, they're also kind of bandits. They're like
they're
a band of bits. I don't know.
So anyways, Gleaming the Cube stars a young Christian Slater who is trying to solve what he believes is the murder of his adopted brother. And I have to say, all I'll say about this movie is, aside from the fact that Tony Hawk and all these other famous skaters are extras in the movie, that young Christian Slater reminds me why Christian Slater is a star. He talks like this youthful Jack Nicholson. He has that kind of swagger in his voice.
Well, he's very specific.
His hair is amazing. I
love him.
I just need more Christian Slater in sports or crime-solving movies. That's all I'm going to say about that. I enjoyed Gleaming the Cube more than I expected, and the kids caught a whole chunk of it with me, and they really enjoyed it. So that was a pleasure. So who's got something else they watched?
Lily, you should go.
I have other things I want to say. But...
Oh, okay. So I watched a movie. I think we've talked about it here. Lily for sure talked about it because she loved it so much. But last night we watched 3 Billboards.
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
I haven't gotten to that yet.
That is a film.
I mean, I certainly don't want to provide any spoilers, but I really, really want to see the sequel where Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell team up and become vigilantes. That's the movie I want to see.
Okay.
No, this film is there are a few films that are that excellent.
It was so... Well, I do believe they could have done a little more of an edit on it and made it shorter because I felt just a lot of the scenes just
like a Monster Squad edit.
It just, well, not quite, but yeah.
I'm not saying it could be 45 minutes, but it could have been 90 minutes.
A lot of the scenes were very fat. I will say what was cool about it is that you know immediately you're watching a different kind of movie. It's written in a way that it feels like a play, that the performances are to me, it wasn't regular performances. It really felt very theatrical, had this almost melodramatic tone to it, and it was shot so well. I love the way it was filmed.
You're watching a movie and you're like, everybody brought it.
Yeah, but everybody brought it in a way where I felt like everybody brought it, but it wasn't just a regular performance where everybody brought it, and it was directed really well. No, I just felt like it wasn't wonderful performances like you would just see in any typical drama. I felt like everyone was a little bit amped up, where I felt like I was watching literally a stage. I'm like, oh, this could be a play. This movie could work on stage. It was really interesting, and I thought there were a lot of actually unexpected plot turns, not twists, but you know what I mean. It actually, the way that they kept the story moving forward was just so fresh. It was really
funny that you say that, though. I'm just gonna say one thing. He directed Seven Psychopaths.
This is the guy who did In Bruges also?
In Bruges.
That guy?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I love Seven Psychopaths.
Yeah,
right. And that movie is not an easy pill to swallow. That is a strange movie. It's frenetic. You can't and you don't. You kind of thinking, 90s. Oh, this is a big because it's comedic in a way and dark comedy, and you don't expect the ending that it has, and I don't find it an easy film to see or movie to see. No, Seven Psychopaths.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's disjointed and dark comedy in the 90s. You kind of expect some kind of tie it together ending. It's a cool movie, but there's no tie it together ending. And this is Becky, I'm sure you appreciate this more even than us, but you can see with that In Bruges and this, you can see this director growing.
I was about to say, you feel like he's honing
talk about character development
as a director. You feel like he is honing his craft in this one, and it's super cool. And now I'm like, wow, I can't wait to see what he does next, because
that's
he's getting better and better at it. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the order of his movies.
I want to say there might be one more in between, but
National Theater Live, Hangman. I don't know what that is. But he
But
basically
this was, and again, I knew it was going to be a drama. I didn't quite.
Can you remind me the name of the director?
Martin McDonough.
Oh, okay.
McDonough? Yeah.
That's super.
So, again, a drama, but done in a way that just, you're watching something that's purposefully different from any other standard drama. And just really...
I'm just going to add one more thing. There's something I find it interesting that he's not American. Director.
Yeah, that he's not American, right? Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know if I'm going to leave it out there. I think it's strange to me because there's a lot of critique about America, I think, in the movie.
And as a tidbit, just put, not a tidbit, but a little extra appreciation for the film, or just put Peter Dinklage in everything.
Is he in it too?
Movie?
He's in it. He's phenomenal.
He's amazing.
He makes
everybody in the movie. And to me, Sam Rockwell, I'm obsessed with him. I think he's amazing, and I'm so happy he won.
Let's be clear.
He doesn't deserve it.
I have been on the Sam Rockwell bandwagon since he was the plucky comic relief in Galaxy Quest.
You have
Galaxy Quest.
You are you get the Sam Rockwell I Told You show. You both get that.
Because
all
right. Okay, so Lily, do you have another?
I don't know. I have other things I'd like to say.
Okay, so I'll talk about some. Something that I loved that I just watched that is a fellow podcaster artist in our at least digital community. We've never met in person, but Stevie Jackson, who is one of the hosts of the very, very fun Talent Crush chat show podcast.
Mm-hmm.
She is also an actress and a writer and a producer, and she was in a new web series called Honestly Charlotte, and the first episode, the pilot, dropped, and if you follow them on Twitter, it's Honest Charlotte, and I watched the pilot. It's only about 5+ minutes long, and it's about this character Charlotte, and it has her interviewing for a job, and it just builds, and it's funny. Because I didn't know anything about it going in. I just wanted to see, okay, what is this? And Stevie plays Charlotte, and she is hilarious. And the way it's written,
that's awesome.
And the way it's written, it's just sort of winding you up and winding you up and winding you up, and then it gives way to also making it more than just a short skit. It makes you want to see what happens next to this character, and I thought it was really funny. I guess it comes off as a workplace comedy or an office type comedy in terms of the setting, although I'm not sure. But I really enjoyed, finally, after hearing her talk a lot, see Stevie act, and folks should really check that out. That's a buy as far as I'm concerned. It's really fun, and check that out. And then the other thing that Lily and I watched this week was we caught up on this Funny or Die series called A Very Special Episode, which seems to be made by the same person who did Zach Morris's
Is Trash.
And they go through all the famous...
Everybody who's ever watched TV from 1980 to 2000 needs to watch this.
It's called A Very Special Episode.
It's a Funny or Die.
Okay, yeah, I will be watching that when we wrap today.
And they sum up in
you get
5 minutes. In 5 minutes, they'll sum up a very famous episode. So
you have to see the Mr. Belvedere one, though. That is a must.
The Mr. Belvedere one is insane.
It makes you feel like you're in the Twilight Zone, or you can't believe that
this was on television
ever.
Yeah, it makes you have to Google the episode to find out that this actually happened. The episode, let alone the Funny or Die. And it is it's that's all I'll say. The Mr. Belvedere one, the Family Ties one, the Different Strokes one.
They're all good.
Yeah. Well, there's a Saved by the Bell one because they have a whole series on Saved by the Bell. And anyway, the whole thing is good. We watched ones for shows we didn't even know.
The Golden Girls one. The Golden Girls one. It's hilarious. That one's just funny.
Yeah.
But the Mr. Belvedere one is shocking.
So he sums these up and sends them up in about 5 minutes. And
the Family Ties one is with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, as a young actor.
As a young actor in it, so that's a joy to watch.
So you can knock those out in an hour.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. They're really short. Okay, so Lil, why don't we hear some of your things, and then I have a couple more pop culture things, but you're gonna need. It's gonna take you a little bit of energy to make fun of me for those.
Okay, I have a question. What do you guys think about the fact that they added the popular film category to the Oscars?
Trash.
And then they took it away.
Because it's trash.
They took it away. I love how we're coming to this so far after this thing started that it's already gone by the time.
Shy. Is our podcast known to be about current events?
No.
Or just
it's current event that they took it away. That's current. And
it's a trash category. It would be so offensive. The Oscars are already trash. This would make it worse.
They're also doing something positive in that they are going to do, I guess, boring categories in the commercials. Because nobody watches it anymore, and one of the complaints is that it's too long. So they're going to hurry up the ceremonies by knocking out 6 to 8 categories during commercials.
But I have to say, the awards don't...
fair. So, what? So the person who wins,
imagine one day you make it that far back, which I know you will, and you get that far, and your movie's up for an Oscar, and then nobody sees it.
Documentary short is not going to be on podcast.
The awards don't bother me.
Everybody watches everything on YouTube anyway, so just put a clip up on it on YouTube and it's fine.
The awards don't bother me, actually, because the awards can be done relatively quickly. It's some of the segments that, to this year we're going to honor people with the middle name George.
Why does each song have to be performed?
I don't need to hear the songs. It's fine.
Who needs to hear the songs?
Too much.
Only one of them is getting an Oscar. Only one of them is good.
And in some years,
watch all movies.
Have the one that wins, then do the song for that one, and that's it.
Yeah,
afterwards.
Agreed.
And some years, there's also 1 or 2 songs that are Oscar worthy, but a couple others slip into the category, so you find yourself watching some weird combination of singers.
It's a ridiculous concept. Songs that are Oscar worthy. There's plenty of songs that aren't in movies that are Oscar worthy. It just happens to be ones that were in a movie.
Yeah,
give them all to Elton John. It makes no sense. He made a bunch of songs, or Phil Collins for those Disney movies. Those are better than most songs. Number 1. Number 2.
Hold on. The biggest robbery though in the song category ever. You have to know what I think the biggest robbery.
I know. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
Accidentally in Love by Counting Crows.
They did not win.
It didn't win. No. It should have won.
That's a bunch of BS.
But yeah, the whole thing is ridiculous.
But I'd like from Becky's industry perspective. I mean, so the way I see it's ridiculous. I think that popular movies actually deserve to compete for Oscars. Meaning, I don't like either extreme of just indie movies being having a chance. I want to see Black Panther contend for Best Picture.
Right, I'd like to see Black Panther against Lady Bird. Yeah. I mean, it's the same year, but you know what I mean.
But there's no Infinity War that beats 3 Billboards. Do you know what I mean? As good. It's not going to happen.
If you think about it, Avatar won a major award. They won Best.
No, Avatar did not win. No, Hurt Locker won. Hurt Locker's pretty. No, Avatar won a lot of other awards, but
no, I thought he won Best Director. She won Best Picture, or vice versa.
She won both.
She didn't win both, did she?
She won Best Director for sure. And that was the whole thing, is that they were up against each other and their ex-husbands and wives.
And I thought he won Best
Picture.
No,
I thought she did.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
she kicked his tootsie there.
I mean, that's a great movie. Anyway, that's fine. I'm okay having a debate between 2 great movies.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. She won both.
I'm okay having a debate between 2 great movies, but the idea that they were going to suddenly take all the box office movies and the idea that suddenly these box office movies,
category.
Everyone agrees with you. Something like Black Panther should be or
normal contender,
or whatever it is contender. Should be a normal contender for a big for an Oscar, regardless of it being a popular movie that does big at the box office versus a smaller film like Call Me by Your Name. They are. And they have 10. You have 10 you can put in there. It's plenty of space. Because then how do you separate, something like La La Land?
Right. It's just like saying trash versus not, and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, they're all trash.
Yeah, but the other thing I wanted to say was Ozarks 2. Do you guys watch Ozarks?
I didn't watch Ozarks 1, although
the first 3 episodes of season 1.
So you guys don't watch the show?
I just didn't get to Ozarks. All right, so
it's just me on this bandwagon. All right, gotcha. Okay. Looking forward to season 2. Great. Yeah. I will comment to myself about it.
We haven't even talked about Shameless.
Well, I'm very far behind.
For next week. We're going to have to talk about Shameless.
So I'll just say one more thing. Every once in a while, serendipity happens.
Oh, I watched the pilot of The Bold Type. I just bought it. There was no other way for me to see it. And I'm hoping that's what this show is for me.
So my serendipity, though, is, follow me here, program about a fish out of water actress who follows around a private eye.
We already know. It doesn't
Rachel
matter
Bilson.
it's just Rachel Bilson.
Take Two on ABC is adorable. Is as adorable as Rachel Bilson is adorable.
Fish out of water in her last one?
Yes, exactly.
She was, yes.
She's a fish out of water actress, but because of her acting skills, is making a great private eye with this extraordinarily handsome man.
Speaking of private eyes, did you hear that? Did you hear the big news, Shy?
Yes, so I'm going to segue into. The huge news that I feel like I just sort of stumbled across, but Veronica Mars is coming back for an 8-episode series on Hulu, which to me is the exact way Veronica Mars should come back.
I love how much K-Val still loves that series, and that
she really loves it.
That means a lot to me, even though she's huge now. That she still has so much love for that character. And
she's on The Good Place, which is the smartest episode on one of the smartest television shows on television.
Agreed.
They just got bought by NBC.
No, The Good Place has always been on NBC. It was Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
No, it's on Netflix.
No, it's available to watch on Netflix. But it's an
Netflix original.
No, you live in another country, Lily.
Everything is an Netflix original for me.
So Veronica Mars, not only that, when I read the article, I read that to me, one of the things that has always attracted, made me love that show is the parts that it is her and her father solving mysteries together. I love the character of her father.
Oh, yeah.
And
From
the guy from Just Shoot Me, yeah. Enrico.
The photographer on Just Shoot Me.
Enrico, last name. Can't get it right now out of my head, Lily. Please find it. But in the article I read, the two of them are guaranteed to come back. And I like all the other characters, but for me.
But those are the core characters. You need them for the show.
And I like
everyone else is replaceable.
And I like them doing stuff together, and the movie didn't have enough of that. And so I want to see them back in Neptune solving crimes. Yeah. And supposedly they're going to be chasing a serial killer, and I love it. So. That is
Enrico Colantoni.
There you go.
Who's also in The Matrix.
No. You are mixing him up with Joey Pants. You're mixing him up with Joey Pants.
Yeah.
With who?
Joey Pants.
Who's Joey Pants?
Joey Pantaloni? What's his name?
What?
They're
the same person.
No, you're confusing him with someone else. It doesn't matter.
He is not the guy who played Cypher in The Matrix.
The guy from Matrix is in Memento, Lily, who's different than the guy from Just Shoot Me and Veronica Mars.
He's also...
Oh my God, I'm having that weird facial blindness thing.
No. He's also the guy...
What are you talking about?
Look, Joey... Oh, God, his last name also is escaping.
We gotta wrap up. Lily,
no,
just figure it out while we do our wrap up.
You were flipping out about that facial blindness thing.
Yeah, you're having some serious facial blindness. Memento... Matrix.
Oh, you're right.
Wait, what's his full name? I always just know him by his nickname, Joey Pants.
I call him Joey Pants.
Why, is he from Sopranos?
Yeah, because he was in Sopranos. He was the. I don't know if you. That was already. I stopped watching the Sopranos. So.
Shit, you're right. Oh my God, I had a weird. Joey Pantoliano. That's why they call him Joey Pants.
Yeah.
His name is Pantoliano.
Yeah.
All right, that was cool.
Well, okay, I just had facial. I never thought it would happen to me.
I could see you mixing up those two guys, though. I mean, I understand.
Becky's made no sense, but mine makes sense.
And Enrico was also in Galaxy Quest.
Mine did not make sense. Yes, he is in Galaxy Quest.
He plays the alien in Galaxy Quest.
Love him.
So it's just me. That makes no sense.
I mean, I see what you're saying. They're both bald.
And they're Italian.
Yeah.
No, it's not unreasonable, Lily. Okay, moving on. Gotta wrap it up.
So that was my last thing for today on my list. So we had a lot of different things to talk about today. Do you guys have any shout-outs you want to talk about?
I just want to make fun of you for 1 second. Just a random... I feel like we didn't have enough making fun of. Just 1 second.
I mean, you guys just rushed through the whole Rachel Bilson thing. You didn't even... I have
made fun of you so many times.
So I'm so embarrassed for you.
Just go listen to some back episodes. Chances are Shy's talking about Rachel Bilson.
If Hulu wants to do Heart of Dixie, 8-episode arcs, I'll be there too.
Okay, but so something I discovered about Shy about being on vacation is that when he takes a selfie, he unreasonably puts the time, like he puts a timer on an unreasonable amount of time. So you're doing a selfie, and I know when you do the timer, it's easier because you don't need to reach for the button.
3-second timer.
So Shai puts the 10-second multiple times, and we're just standing there.
That's
and
why
I was like, Shai, you
bad picture face because I can't hold.
No, Becky,
like,
your
Shai.
bad picture face predates anything with the cell phone.
Matter.
And I was like, Shai, did you know there's a 3? But you must not realize there's a 3-second one. And you're like, oh, I know. And I'm like, then why am I standing here?
Because I have to do selfies with kids. And they need
quicker
time.
Is better. The point is that I think you put an unreasonable amount of time for a selfie on your phone, and it was pretty funny.
Okay, shout-outs?
Shout-outs. Beck, get any shout-outs?
I want to shout out to a new listener that we have as of this morning, Mollie Whitnoff, one-time heiress to the pickle fortune. Mrs. Whit Pickles. If you want some good pickles, go over to the Whitnoff house. They pickle everything. It's delicious. So shout out to Mollie because she just started listening to the podcast today.
Oh, fun. And I want to shout out to my Spanish friends here who were so excited to hear Jose's intro. So they wanted to hear the story of our meeting and Becky telling it. So shout out to my good friend Yurena and my good friend Ellie from Tenerife, who laughed profusely at his interpretation.
Mm-hmm. And I will shout out to Gato, who is he's the long lost sibling that we didn't know existed because we have so much in common with him. But Gato, specifically with the episode from last week, has asked to hear. He loves the Friday Night Movie origin stories, whenever we go back into our backstory. So he has requested the Friday Night Movie origins of Allie and my story. So I promise that one day Allie will come back. I mean, she doesn't remember the story anyway, so I always have to retell it. So there's that, and then of course, shout out to cousin Vanessa.
Oh.
Can't forget her. In fact, last week we forgot her, and I had to put it on as an add-on in the middle of the night.
We can't. That's a Shonda, honestly. And cousin Vanessa, who started the school year because she's an awesome teacher. So wishing her an awesome year.
Cool.
Yep.
And Becky, where can people follow you?
Paper BK Princess on Twitter at Paper BK Princess.
And
that's
Lily, where can people follow you?
ChiChiKGomez.prime. That was so stupid. I say some pretty stupid stuff, but your Amazon.prime was stellar.
You've now seen how it works behind the scenes. There's a lot going on here.
I hydrated.
You can follow me
after my dance class, so I really gotta go pee.
First of all, no one asked me how I was doing or has even let me give my handle. So I just.
Oh, how are you doing? Sorry, Shai. You're such a host.
Pick one. Your handle or how you're doing.
No,
you can follow me at Pancake for a Table. You can follow all of the Pancake Media shenanigans at pancakeforatable.com. You can follow all of the podcasts at FridayNightMoviePod.com or in the podcast section of the overall Pancake website. If you like the show, again, help us get to ring in the podcast anniversary with some more new reviews. Please make those reviews on iTunes or elsewhere, and send a screenshot to us. We'll do something nice to thank you. There's a new site called Podchaser that I've registered us on, where it brings together podcast creators, and you can create a podcast playlist of some of your favorite podcasts. So I have made one. If you go to Podchaser and you go to Pancake, or you search for Pancake Podcasts, you'll be able to link to us, but you'll also see a list of those podcasts that.
That's a great idea.
That are the way I call them, the friends and family, but also a section that I call podcast goals, where we've put some of the podcasts that we really, really admire. And also remember last week's big announcement, which we will keep reminding you on the weekend of June 7th through 9th. Pancake for the Table and Friday Night Movie Podcast will be at the All-Star Comic-Con in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. We are thrilled to be a part of that. And with that, the music will kick in, the music by What Does It Eat? And we're dancing and dancing and dancing. Bye, guys. I love you. It's good to see you.
Dancing. Love you.
I don't know. It's like a tarp, but I see Lily.
It's a tarp. They're one that's
I know, I'm just sitting
heavier
here.
material, but it's prettier. It's a heavier material.
Isn't Becky in a rush?
Yeah, I am, but I also have like a Sukkah crisis. It's a heavier material. It's a heavier material